I think before the surgery, my vision was about 20/40, or maybe even a little worse in one eye. But I had terrible astigmatism. And over the years, the eye doctors that I had previously gone to consistently told me that people with astigmatism were not candidates for LASIK surgery. So that was one of the reasons I really didn't seriously pursue it, because I figured I couldn't get it done. He said it was a challenge if you had bad astigmatism, but it didn't mean it couldn't get done. So I think I went from 20/40 with bad astigmatism till after the surgery, my eyesight actually got better. 6 or 8 weeks into it, I was 20/15. So I can see pretty good now. It's unbelievable. It's better than I ever was, I think. I don't ever remember being 20/15, so I'm very pleased about that. And I was just satisfied that this was, I hate to say a routine procedure because it's your eyes, but I really got the sense that he had done this many, many times before, and I felt like I was in good hands. Yeah, from the time I got to the office at the first appointment, I could tell it was very professionally run, and that the people care about the customers there, and that more importantly, they knew what they were doing. That made a good impression on me from the initial appointment to the follow-through, to every time I called and asked questions, even if they were silly. They didn't tell me they were silly, although I'm sure they were. It was just a good, comfortable feeling. The most amazing thing to me is the power that the eye surgeon has to turn back the clock. I probably haven't seen like this in 40 years, and that's pretty unique for your body to go back to the way it was at one point in time, and even be better than it originally was. So that whole concept is fascinating to me. I didn't spend any time in a hospital. I missed one day of work, and from my perspective, it was a few eye drops for a couple weeks after the fact, and that was it. So yes, the benefit here versus the inconvenience and the time that I had to put into it, it was clearly outweighed by the benefit. I'd recommend Dr. Chaikin to anybody who's considering the surgery, or if they're not considering it and just are looking to get a second opinion or to have their eyes examined. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, I was so pleased with the surgery and how it came out and how I was treated there that I even suggested my wife go in and take a look at Dr. Chaikin and his operation. And sure enough, Dr. Chaikin said she wasn't a candidate. She's wearing her glasses, and that even, that holds true to what I said earlier, that if you're not a candidate, he's going to tell you. So she still goes to him to get her eyes checked. Maybe one day she'll do the LASIK.
Well, I came to LASIK after a lot of research. I waited probably 4 years after I first thought about doing it before I actually had the procedure done. I'm a radiologist, so my eyes were completely my entire livelihood. If I had a problem with my eyes, I wouldn't be able to do my job anymore. So that's, was part of my hesitation waiting so many years before I did it. My research did make me think that the intra-LASIK procedure was the best. But it was not only the type of procedure, because other providers also offer that same procedure. So it was a combination of the technology and the expertise of Dr. Chaikin. I think from the very beginning, I thought the bedside manner and the professionalism were exceptional. He's very smart and very, I guess fastidious is a word. He cares very much about every aspect of your experience there. So he made me feel comfortable from the get-go. He talked to me doctor to doctor. He has some acquaintances who are radiologists. He's always asking me about my practice, about how things are going with that. So he, beyond the eyes, he's kind of caring about the interpersonal aspects of it also, which I think is rare. I'm sure that he would not have taken me if I weren't a good candidate, because I have since referred other friends to him who are not great candidates, and he has told them so. I think Dr. Chaikin's work is more than just his work. It really is his passion, and it's what he is here to do.
And so I wound up at the end seeing 3 different doctors, one of whom was Dr. Chaikin. I mean, from a procedure perspective, they all, from a non-medical person, the procedure that they were offering all seemed to be more or less identical. So really what it came down to was sort of feeling of confidence and trust, and sort of that I was in the hands of someone that not only knew what they were doing, but they were doing it for the right reason. Some of the 2 other providers that I went to go talk to, what turned me off to them was I had this feeling of, it was very much a mill, very much sort of a LASIK factory, if you will. And there was a tremendous number of people in the waiting room, and there was this process that I felt I was feeling, where it was a lot more almost of like a corporate selling environment, where after I met with the doctor very briefly, I was brought into another room, and then sort of one of the people on the doctor's staff was trying to push me to move forward with the surgery or offer me a $500 discount if I move forward. And I said, this is not the decision to do this isn't based on $500. It's like my livelihood and my life effectively sort of in your hands if I'm going to do this. And Dr. Chaikin by far gave me sort of the highest level of confidence. It was something that, he seemed so comfortable with, and sort of every question I asked, he had an immediate answer, and it wasn't sort of a canned answer, but it seemed like he really understood like the fundamentals of what the surgery was about. But even though it's probably a conversation he's had many times, it doesn't feel like it's something that he's only half paying attention to. He realizes that for you as an individual, this is the first time and hopefully the only time you're going through such a procedure, and that these questions, even if they're to him something that's quite mundane, is very important. And it really felt like he was taking the time to focus and to pay attention and try to really address the fears or concerns that you had when you're coming into making this decision.
I was dangerously informed about some of the newer technology that he was using that was coming out, and we had a pretty detailed conversation while he was examining me, and it was clear to me that he had the latest technology that was important to me, and he was knowledgeable about this technology and why it was an improvement and how it was better for patients, and also better for patients in the context of enhanced outcomes. And that gave me a lot of conviction in Dr. Chaikin. I've certainly had conviction in him as a physician, and frankly, I've recommended a number of people to his practice who have also had LASIK. I would not consider the procedure an investment of time and emotion, or certainly pain. I mean, let's do them in reverse order. It was painless. The emotion was just happiness afterwards, having an improvement in my vision, and being relieved that I finally did this. And the time, there was really no time commitment.
After I had the LASIK, there weren't any big surprises. I'd heard, your vision will be perfect. You'll be able to see. But I haven't been able to see by myself in 15 years, so that was a surprise. As much as he told me, you'll have 20/20 vision, possibly better, the concept of what 20/20 vision is without contacts or glasses has just been so far removed from my life that was a surprise. I still, 6 months removed, will walk outside every once in a while, especially at night, and be like, I can see that streetlight, or I can see that sign. And it's just like things like that take me by surprise. So the transition from having to wear contacts or being blind to not was just phenomenal. The day I got picked up, my mom picked me up, and they live in this beautiful skyrise in Midtown. And I remember even right afterwards going to bed, everything was so blurry. Went to bed, Mom put me to bed for 4 hours in the middle of the afternoon, and I woke up, and outside of my windows, you can look onto this giant skyscraper, and I could see the individual windows. Instead of it being just this blur of light, I was like, oh my gosh, I can see that. And it was just so exciting. I walked around the room being like, alarm clock, I can see you. I walked out, and my parents are both there being like, oh, you've risen from the dead, congratulations. And I looked out onto the Hudson River, and I sat there like a small child, my parents being like, I can see that light, I can see that bridge, can you see that boat? And my father, who got rejected from LASIK, is sitting there being like, you can see all that? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, there's a boat, there's a bridge, there's New Jersey, all lit up. It was just so exciting to be able to see all of that and have nothing else but me, which I haven't had since I was 12. It was great. People should go to Dr. Chaikin if they want to have this LASIK done, because he is efficient, trustworthy, capable, and just so good at what he does. I can see.